Hello everybody, welcome to the 12th episode of Cooldown Timer. With me today is Neefu.
We got new gear.
And all the way up in the frozen wastelands of Alaska, we have Mr. 8.
Mr. H.
Hi guys, I'm new.
Yay.
And I am ZAM, the all-powerful, the all-seeing, the all-knowing. I don't know.
ZAM the man. We're actually watching you right now, even though you can't watch us. That's the power of the internet.
Incredibly creepy.
Yeah, so.
If only it were true.
So, Mr. H,
Yes.
we were chatting the other day, and it sounded like somebody had a little bit of an issue with our discussion on the Children's Crusades the other day.
That's right. It was, I believe, your Christmas episode. And,
Yep.
I was a bit upset because you totally butchered the actual history of what happened in the children's... Well, maybe not.
Like what happened to the children.
No, that's the only part you got right, actually. Was the horrible fate of the children. But
We laugh at their fate.
But the important thing is that the Children's Crusade was never sponsored by the church. There's actually probably... It might not have happened, actually. It might just be a conflated story, but if it did happen, it was never sponsored by the church. The whole story is that some kid said, hey, everyone else is failing at the Crusades because they aren't pure of heart. But you know what's pure of heart? Kids is pure of heart. And we as kids, we'll go down to the Mediterranean and walk across it. The Crusades are actually a really interesting part of history that everyone knows of the Crusades. Most people don't know what actually happened in the Crusades.
A lot of people died.
Or why they happened. It's kind of like the Civil War, you know? You know, everyone says, like, the Civil War was about slavery. And then they tell you later, it wasn't really about slavery. And then even later you find out, no, it really was about slavery. But it was complicated. The Crusades are like that.
The point is that kids died in the Crusade. Possibly. And if not...
If it existed.
Yeah. And, yeah.
But the Pope did tell him to go home, if it happened.
Well, if it did happen, the kids didn't exist at the end, so...
Well,
The end. You know what kids do love?
Legos. Christmas.
Carnivals.
Oh, good God. No carnivals.
No. What are your guys' thoughts and feelings about carnivals and fairs?
Okay, so...
Wait, did you say carnivals and bears? Because I don't think they let bears in at the carnivals.
Bears.
That would be a very different conversation.
Bears.
I like bears. Anyway,
there is
no, I actually really do enjoy fairs, but I don't go on any rides.
No rides for
I
you.
hate rides.
Have you ever been? No, of course not. Never mind. I was about to ask you if you had been on Space Mountain, and for someone who's left the state all of 3 times.
And always to go to the other same state.
Space Mountain's good.
Yeah. Okay, here's basically the thing. If it goes fast, goes up or down, goes around in circles, or makes sharp turns, I can't do it.
Well, here's the thing about it. Like, I hate traditional roller coasters, but when
you hate traditional everything. You're the biggest hipster ever.
It's true. It's true.
Hey.
You
How
know
many hipsters does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Sam? You need a ride where you can sit in a perfectly still location and just watch things happening. Maybe for a couple hours.
It's called a vacation.
Air conditioned. Yeah, you just need to go to the movies.
But no, okay. But no. Oh, so Space Mountain. What's cool about it is that, like, it's in this almost completely dark room, except for the fact that it's got these little, like, lights that make it look like stars, so you feel like you're just flying through space.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me that you move around, but you can't see where you're going? Oh, that sounds like a nightmare waiting to happen. I can't even watch someone play a first-person shooter or a third-person shooter or a video game.
How did you get through Mass Effect?
Because
your eyes closed?
Only during the sad parts. Yeah, but carnivals. No, I'm not a big fan.
I love the zipper. I love the zipper.
Okay, so zipper would have been something that they probably would have had during the Crusades. They lock you in a metal cage and then spin you around in circles while you're going in giant loops.
And it is incredibly fun.
You pay for this.
Yes, I do, and I would pay again. And
A long
pay
time
again.
ago, it was a punishment.
That'd actually be really amusing. Some alternate universe medieval world where they used roller coasters as torture devices. Maybe like a post-apocalyptic world where they go to
We
the
have
amusement park.
ways of making you
torture
talk.
people.
Your arms are just strapped straight up in the air.
Or they force you to stand, and there's like one of those do not stand things where it'll like cut your head off, and so they're like, you will talk. If you don't talk, we will send you on this.
so,
and it's all covered in like razors.
Fun
and
carnival story
swords.
that's not fun and terrifying, and this is why you shouldn't go to carnivals. My sister went on a roller coaster, and she got into the roller coaster, and right as she had stepped into it, the bar snapped around her knees and knocked her backwards, and then the roller coaster went off.
Oh gosh.
Oh dear.
And yes, this was like last year. I don't know if I told you about this, Mr. H.
No.
Anyway, yeah. So she got halfway up the roller coaster. I don't remember exactly what happened. She's alive. They were
always a
like,
plus.
please don't sue us. they were like dumping gifts on her.
Which reminds me. So, I don't know, dude. Friggin' Disneyland. They will take people off of Disneyland
I
property. And, like, people do not die in Disneyland.
I know, no
they
one
will
has
not
ever
allow you
died
to,
on
like,
Disney.
check their vitals or whatever to declare them dead until they are off of Disneyland property. So that nobody has died there.
It's the happiest place on earth.
Ho, ho, ho. I don't know why I did a Santa voice there.
Because it's still Christmas for us.
It's still Christmas for us.
We're broadcasting into the future.
Into the future.
Well, it'd be hard to broadcast into the past.
Challenge accepted.
We need
That's
a
true.
different
Time
setup.
travel exists
Basically.
because
We're having a live chat with someone in Alaska that has an hour difference.
You're
And
right.
everyone else is going to be listening to this a week later. So,
a week.
2 weeks later?
Yeah, a week later. But no, so they have set really, really specific clocks. They put one on the ground and one on the plane, and then they sent the plane around the world. And the clock on the plane was a few milliseconds faster, or like in the future. The times were off.
Superman did this.
I also did that in Star Trek when they rescued the whales.
Yeah.
Oh, good God. They've done everything in Star Trek. There's enough episodes where
They
they've
also
done
did
everything.
that in Stargate, sort of, when they had to insert nerdy explanation here.
Okay, so while we're on the subject of sci-fi,
That is that's a good segue there.
which looks like something from a sci-fi show.
True. We thought it would be fun to try to have a discussion where we each would argue for our favorite sci-fi or fantasy franchise and see where that would go.
I don't know if I have a favorite.
I mean, you're a pretty big Lord of the Rings fan. It's the best of my understanding.
Bum, ba, ba, bum, ba, ba, bum.
I wouldn't call myself a fan. I very much appreciate it.
Wait,
and
you
I
wouldn't
do have
call
love
yourself
for
a
the world.
fan, Mr. You've memorized half of the songs in The Hobbit?
Do you blame me? There's one thing they did well, and that's the music.
And we're not
Oh, you
talking
mean
about
those songs.
We're not talking about the movie
Okay.
Hobbit here. We're talking about like the book.
Okay, so the reason for that is when I was a kid, we had this terrible cartoon of The Hobbit, and it was the entire Hobbit in like an hour and a half. And they cut things from it, like Beorn, the giant bear man. But they left things in like the songs. And they had very interesting designs for elves and stuff. And so there's all these very, very weird looking elves jumping around singing, "Oh, where are you going? And what are you doing? No knowing, no knowing what brings Mr. Baggins." Anyway, so when I was a kid, I watched it a whole bunch because it was awesome. And that I didn't have anything else to watch.
True.
I know what you mean.
but
I've seen the Neverending Story 3 at least 5 times.
I've actually never seen that.
The horse dies. And it's like really sad because the kid's like screaming and the horse is like falling into quicksand and it's like.
Yeah, I've never actually seen
yeah.
the Neverending Story, but I've seen the Neverending Story 3 at least 5 times. And it is an awful movie.
Isn't that the one with Jack Black in it?
Yes, Jack Black is one of the bad guys.
He's one of the bad guys. He's like a...
He's a high school bully, and he does not look like he should be in high school.
Because he's Jack Black.
Um,
Doesn't he have like a pompadour haircut, like the crazy
Something
one?
like that.
And like a
He
leather
and his gang
jacket.
are called the Nasty.
Yes,
The
that's right.
Nasties.
And you just want him to go, tunnel snakes rule. Yeah, I think, I think that was the only one I ever saw also.
so you would not say that Lord of the Rings is your favorite sci-fi or fantasy franchise?
Probably not. I don't know. Like, it really depends on the mood I'm in, because I definitely go through moods.
I'm in my Pokemon mood today. I'm in my sci-fi mood today.
Wait, is Pokemon a choice? I pick
Oh.
Pokemon. I want it to be real.
Yeah, Pokemon would be the very best. Like, nothing
No.
ever was.
No.
I'm not going to break
No.
into song anymore this episode.
I was actually kind of being facetious, but if I could pick any reality to be real, it'd be either Pokemon or Star Trek, just because everything seems nice in Star Trek, and I'd probably just be an ordinary person.
And yet there still manages to be a climactic battle sequence in each episode.
But there's
I've never
My
seen Star
question
Trek.
for you is, you said Star Trek, not Stargate, yes?
Well, listen, if we're talking about, I was just talking about the world I'd like to live in. Star Trek's a much nicer world than Stargate, because Stargate is the 90s. I enjoyed the 90s, but if I have to choose between,
Exploring
Teenage
space
Mutant
for the
Ninja
good of
Turtles or the
mankind.
holodeck, I'm going to pick the holodeck.
I don't know. Are we talking about world we wish?
Well, okay, I think we've
Because
kind of
that's kind of what it's
shifted.
morphed into.
I
Yeah,
hijacked
we
the
can
discussion.
readdress this topic later. My question for you, Mr. H, is if you would rather live in the Stargate or Star Trek universe, and Star Trek, according to Gene Roddenberry's original view, was a post-religious society, how does that make you feel?
When it comes to sci-fi and fantasy, it's really not this world. It's a probable world. And Gene Roddenberry may want to be post-religion, but have you seen Star Trek? Have you? They shove more corny spirituality into it than donuts full of corn syrup.
I've never actually
Just as
seen
long
any
as it's
Star- I
not
think
Christian spirituality. Everyone else is fine.
I watched the one of the episodes from the original series, and I had trouble sitting through it.
I don't think I've watched many of the original series. I think I spent more time of the actual shows. I think I watched more Voyager. Because that was just what was on TV when I was growing up.
Exactly.
And then I watched all of SG-1, Stargate SG-1. I do enjoy the Star Wars universe a lot.
So is that the one you think you'd
Out
want
of
to be
those
real?
sci-fi universes, yes. I can't really think of any other good ones. I mean, unless we want to go into video game territory. In which case, there's a
that is
million.
that is a totally legitimate option here. It is favorite.
Well, I'd say
sci-fi
the
or
Mass
fantasy
Effect
world.
universe, but that doesn't necessarily end well.
Star Wars is tempting compared to Star Trek, because I love Star Wars. But if I'm in Star Wars, I'm probably going to be someone poor. Or with a
It's
junkie.
true. I wonder if Star Wars has ever had a children's crusade. It's basically the same area, just era. Good, this echo's killing me. It's basically the same era, just set
In space?
far in the future / and or past.
I was actually thinking about this the other day. If I was living in a science fiction future space world universe thing,
I want to live in the Spore universe. That's what I want to live in.
I think that the career that I would want to follow would be being a trader. That's just going from point A to point B, moving things from here to there, meeting all the new and interesting people, the different races, and I don't know, I think that would be fascinating.
Really?
Nobody agrees with me.
No. It would be fascinating. I've often thought, not necessarily in space, though it also works in space, but kind of like even if I just went back in time to like medieval times, it'd be kind of cool to be a trader, moving things.
Though if you think about doing that nowadays, I'm a semi-truck driver. Not that there's anything wrong with semi-truck drivers, it just doesn't seem
as exciting.
or exciting. Yeah.
10-4, little buddy.
Well, the question was it back then though? I mean, and would it be in one of these versions of the future?
Really, the modern day trader is a businessman who has contacts in China and everywhere else. And he rarely leaves his office except for business trips where he sits on a 12-hour flight, gets into some airport.
Complains about not being in first class.
Jet lag. It's not as romantic.
Yeah. But then again, what career path is as romantic as your fantasies and dreams make it out to be?
Bounty hunter. No.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Jedi.
That would be the worst life ever. You realize that, right? If you really think about the Jedi's life, they've got it. I mean, there are people in that universe worse off.
There's Lots a lot of people. Most
all
people.
The people on what? Terrace that die at the
Everyone
beginning
else
of KOTOR? All the people on the
Spoiler alert. If you haven't played that game from the 90s.
No, that came
early
out
2000s, I think.
06.
Oh, did it?
No, 03. I think we're about 10 years away, so I think it's 03.
Somewhere in there. Early 2000s.
Well, I guess it's 2014 now, right? Wink, wink.
Is it?
Broadcasting you from the past.
Right.
It will be for them when they listen to it.
No, it could be 2016.
I was from a sci-fi world.
Oh, that's true. This will go live in 2014.
It could be 3042, and this is one of the last remnants of human civilization.
I sure hope not.
Oh gosh, what if we were one of the last cultural remnants of human society and we were all that the people in the distant future had to tell what 2013 humans were like?
They'd be like, wow, they're really obsessed with the stars and...
No, they were really obsessed with
time travel?
Pokemon is what
yes, we have time travel.
But no, that would be terrible.
That would be... Oh, that's just a fun little idea.
They'd say, this is the key. This is what happened to them. The humans were undone by their love of Pokemon.
Okay, so this
Trying
is really...
to live in peace.
This is really off subject. It kind of goes back to The Hobbit. But
off subject from the off subject's off subject?
Yeah, okay. Keys. Keys in film, especially sci-fi fantasy films, bug me because they never would work. Like the key from The Hobbit's got all that weird stuff on it and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm making hand gestures just so everybody knows. That's not how a key really works.
No, they can get away with it because it's a dwarf key. You don't know how dwarf locks work.
Punch a dwarf.
I'm gonna punch a dwarf. There, that's my catchphrase.
I'm gonna punch a dwarf.
That sounds more like someone's last words.
Okay, so I was thinking about this the other day, and I think I figured out how I want to die.
Wow, this got dark really fast.
No. Okay, check this out. If I could do absolutely whatever I wanted to do, the way that I want to die is I want to be launched into space, just go. Just be floating off into the distance, maybe have the thing turn around and watch Earth, but just be completely alone with nothing around me but the stars.
Know what's interesting about that? Your dream death is someone's worst nightmare death.
No, that's actually my fiance's worst nightmare. She's terrified of space.
I don't want that to happen until I am pre-Alzheimer's, because Alzheimer's is hereditary in my family. So if I'm going to die, I want to die before the Alzheimer's turns me into a crazy shell of a person who scratches their grandchildren. I have absolutely no experience with this whatsoever.
How does Alzheimer's really work?
Basically, it turns the person's brain into Swiss cheese. And so they have no short-term memory.
So you'd be in space going, holy crap! Holy crap!
This thing.
Holy crap! Like every 10 seconds realizing you're in space.
Pre-Alzheimer's. So I can actually still appreciate the fact that I am surrounded by there would be the lack of oxygen part, but I would still rather die staring at stars. Well, and that was the other thing, because, I mean, after watching Gravity, it's like, I don't want to go up there. It is so scary. But if I'm going to die anyway, how else would I want to die?
You know, I gotta say,
that's how I want to die.
I really respect that. Because space is awesome.
Yes, it is.
And if you're gonna die anyway, it's not as scary.
Exactly.
But what I find interesting is that people are often terrified of the idea of different deaths. For myself, I can't stand the idea of being impaled by something.
Yeah, that sounds pretty
Even
awful.
having my head cut off is pretty disturbing to me. Even though having your head cut off is...
Why the heck are we talking about this?
Well, if you think about, like, the heads cutting off, they seem to have sort of proof that the head still lives on for for a while after it's been severed from the body.
This is like a carnival ride. Okay, we're changing the subject. This is dark.
No, I just...
Like space.
It's not that dark. How would you want to die if you knew you had to die and you couldn't choose painless death?
I don't know. I think about this all the time.
I do. That's why I came up with this reason. Or this way of dying.
I don't know. I can't think of anything fun. Believe it or not.
You know what's weird?
Maybe on a boat sailing off into the sunrise.
Exactly. See, that's kind of fun. And then like a storm comes.
Shark.
Shark.
I'd want to die by a deep sea monster. Not really. That would be terrifying.
I would. Okay.
What?
Sorry, I'm just having all kinds of really weird mental images of like me riding like a Pacific Rim kaiju.
I want to go to there.
There was this one of the bosses in Shadow of the Colossus. You like hit these little tooth things on the top of its head to control it to the left or to the right, and I was just thinking about like that with the kaijus. I don't know. Okay, if you could live in a science fiction or fantasy universe, what would it be?
I'm really trying to do an inventory of sci-fi universes right now.
Okay, so we got what? Star Wars, Mass Effect, Stargate, Star Trek, lots of stars.
Well,
Fallout 3. That would suck.
that would suck.
Discworld.
I've already had my rant about Discworld.
Discworld is wonderful.
I want to know about the people who live on the bottom of the plate.
Nobody lives on the bottom because they
No
fall
one lives on
off.
that. Gravity exists.
Which way is the gravity going?
In the
Towards the
Discworld
turtle.
universe, gravity's down.
No matter where you are.
No matter where you are, gravity is down.
Really, the whole point of the Discworld is this. If there is infinite universes,
This is
one of
one of
them's
them.
going to end up like this.
Yeah. Nope, that makes sense. But then again, who was it? There was a YouTube video I saw like forever ago where this guy was giving this argument about how the multi-universes theory was
Oh yeah,
probably
it's
loads of
it's total
crap,
garbage,
and it
but
had
it's
to do
used
with-
in a lot of
His
books.
argument had to do with like the Hugi Machu is like this trans-dimensional being that has already eaten all the universes.
Oh gosh, I don't even know.
Well, you know, it's like
punch
time
Link in the
travel.
description.
Real life time travel is too much bother, but in books
Yep.
it's fun. Same
I
thing with
want
the
to live in the
multiverse.
Back to the Future universe. That one had freaking hoverboards,
Want to go back?
auto drying clothes. It was awesome.
I've never seen a full Back to the Future movie.
They're
I've
awesome.
never watched one all the way. I've seen about half of the second
Sam.
one.
Yes,
Smack him.
Ow.
There. Justice has
they're
been
pretty
served.
entertaining.
Somebody hand them to me to watch, and I will watch them. I've also never seen any of the Indiana Jones movies. Quality or not, they are still classics that must be...
Kalima.
No idea what you're referencing.
Ugh, why
Really?
would you quote the worst one?
Because that one had that line in it, and it's wonderful.
And I do think that's the worst
Actually-
one. That's worse than the Crystal Skull, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah,
No.
I haven't seen them.
Not for me.
No, listen.
Crystal Skull
the
was
Crystal
terrible.
Skull wasn't great, but Temple of Doom had that blonde chick.
She was pretty annoying.
She
But
was
it also had the
terrible.
little Asian kid.
Interesting movie fact: she would go on to marry Steven Spielberg.
Really?
Yep, she's Steven Spielberg's wife.
Fun, fun, fun.
Explains a lot, doesn't it? About why she
But no,
wasn't
that one had
immediately
a
fired.
little Asian kid who in the very beginning strapped blocks to his feet so he could drive a car.
That kid's neat,
And
but
said,
he's also
"Okie dokie,
very
Dr.
annoying.
Jones." But he was wonderful.
But he was also
And they eat
annoying.
monkey brains that are obviously not real monkey heads.
I read the script for Temple of Doom, and it was pretty trippy.
Yeah, it was really. It's not a good movie.
I recently read somebody had recently approached Spielberg and asked him to do a couple sentences on each of the movies that he had ever directed. And his little bit about Temple of Doom was that he did it because he didn't want someone else to direct the sequel to his Indiana Jones. And then he was saying how The Last Crusade was basically his apology for Temple of Doom.
I don't really remember the third one.
It's one of
Apparently
my
it involved
favorites.
Sean Connery.
I really liked the first one. I've only seen the third one like once.
First and
I've seen
third
the
are the
second one
best,
probably
hands
30
down.
times. We had this VHS back in the day that had
You still have VHSs. Your family went to the store and got like a buttload of VHSs.
Hey, you know my mother. She does not want to move with the times at all. Anyway,
I'm like 2 media formats ahead of her now.
Anyway, we had this VHS of Temple of Doom and Crocodile Dundee.
Oh gosh.
Which is a terrible movie.
I wouldn't know. I haven't seen it either.
It's awful.
Horrible.
It's about a guy that goes to New York and doesn't fit in well, and carries a
So
big
it's a
knife.
fish out of water story.
It's terrible. I hated it.
So what other fantasy and sci-fi universes are there? There's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
There's
World of Warcraft.
the Warcraft universe.
You know, it'd be an interesting one, Zam. Be the Monster Blood Tattoo universe.
Or the Foundlings Tale, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
They changed the name
Foundlings.
later.
Yeah.
Strangely.
I like the Monster Blood Tattoo name better. It's a cool name, but the Foundling Tale does fit the
Oh yeah,
books better.
Monster Blood Tattoo makes it sound like something ridiculously schlocky when it is the opposite of that.
I still remember the very first day that you ever told me about that book. We were driving home from your house, I think, and I was like, we were probably like 14 or 15. And you were telling me about it, and I think someone had just gotten you the book or something, and you were showing me the map, and you're like, yeah, he's got this big detailed map, but the whole story only takes place right here. And I was like, sold. It's like, I'm getting this book.
I tried reading the first one. That book was filled with so much lingo.
Mm-hmm.
And like...
You got to have your thumb on that back page ready to look up the definitions.
I read it as a Kindle version, so it was...
Oh, so you... Yeah, that's right.
Really
I remember
bounce
this.
back and forth.
I have them all. I don't know
I
why
have
you
no
just borrow
interest
them
in
from
reading
me.
them anymore. I tried the first one, and it just made... I didn't get any story out of it. It was just like, okay, a bunch of words I don't understand, and then some chick fell out of something, and something caught on
Story?
fire, and there was little goblin
And Monster
dudes.
Blood Tattoo?
That's
You don't
the only
get that
thing I
till the
remember.
third book. It is pretty true. Like in the first book, it's like he leaves, he meets somebody,
Yeah, the chick who falls out and like catches on
Yes.
fire or has
he
like
meets her,
little ball.
he gets to
bottles
the
of
lamplighter
things.
place. Book 2, he hangs out there for a while. He leaves.
Meets another girl who falls out of a cart.
Book 3, some stuff happens.
No, book 3, a lot of stuff
Yeah.
happens.
And
And then it ends with stuff you're like, wait, but
they're good
there's
though.
still stuff that's unresolved. What do you mean this is the last book?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
We
I
never
tried.
got out of this half-inch of square piece of the map.
He talks about the rest of it a lot though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember the ending now. That was kind of disappointing.
I was
have no
really
feelings about it
disappointed
whatsoever.
when I realized it was
I
the
know.
last book.
That's why I have no feelings about it whatsoever.
Like our audience. Let's move on.
I gotta say, that book grew in violence exponentially.
Saga. The Saga universe.
Good.
With, like, all of the Saga things. That is just a trippy universe.
Saga's a comic book series, if you guys don't know.
It is trippy. There are, like...
It's pretty much like Game of Thrones set in whatever the artist decides to do.
Basically.
Like, there is a naked Spider-Woman without arms. There is I think there's like a dolphin person.
There's a seal. There's a short little seal guy. There's a walrus with 4 legs.
There's a tree that is a rocket ship.
Yep, there's a rocket tree that grows. It's from a rocket farm. Like,
now,
the forest is just a bunch
this
of
all sounds
rocket
silly,
trees.
But the book is serious.
It makes complete sense in the context, and you just accept it, and it's all okay.
There's a race of robots that have TVs for faces that display emotion.
Yep.
Which is actually an awesome idea.
What else is there? The 2 main races are, one of them is like people with various different types of wings. Like, some of them have like butterfly wings or fairy wings or bat wings or bird wings. And then there's a race, and they are like the technical future race, or the technological future
elves.
race.
That reminds me of another fantasy world. I believe it was called Last Haven or something like that. Let's see.
There was no... Well, there were.
No, I started reading Saga. Okay, Last Haven is something that ZAM and I have been working on forever, but only a single short story or 2 have actually come out of it.
It's a world that we've kind of created that we want to play around in.
But I was reading Saga and I was like, this is exactly what I want Last Haven to be like.
It's not exactly what I wanted Last Haven to be like. There's intelligent robots.
Well, I mean,
with computer faces.
Yes, there are intelligent robots with computer faces and Cyclops.
Oh my gosh, that man.
Oh, the troll.
Link in the description.
Click on the
Not
link.
Not safe for work.
Not safe for work in any way, shape, or form.
Anyway.
So yeah, I think if I would have to pick right now, I think I would say the Saga universe, just because it's absolutely absurd. But okay, I have to be entering into this universe as an outsider. I can't have grown up in there and be used to the absurdity. That is my one caveat. Caviar.
I don't know, because the thing with all sci-fi and fantasy universes is that they are full of poop. I mean,
welcome to
Pokemon.
any universe.
I know, not Pokemon, but I'm the Pokemon guy. I can't say Pokemon. It's too easy.
Is everybody in the Pokemon universe a vegetarian, or do they eat other or do people eat Pokemon?
I don't know.
People do not eat Pokemon, but they do eat animals.
So everybody's a vegetarian.
There's a difference.
But
there's a difference in the Pokemon universe between Pokemon and animals.
Yes.
Not necessarily.
Nope, there is. I've read the comics.
Those aren't canon.
They're a lot.
Because what is canon? Okay, here's the thing. It was a comic based off of an anime, based off of a video game.
Based off of a card game.
No, the video game came first.
I think the card game came first.
I think the card game came first.
Are you sure?
To the internet. I am fairly sure. But I'll look it up.
Okay. I think the game, because I think the game came first. But either way, there are no animals in the card or video game, and no mention of animals. In fact, there's mentions in the descriptions on the cards that certain Pokemon do eat other Pokemon. Mainly Magikarp. No one cares about Magikarp. And that's why Gyarados is so angry.
The one thing that I do remember is that Digimon came first before Pokemon in Japan.
I did hear about this.
Even though here in the States it felt like Pokemon came first and Digimon was the copy, when it was actually the other way around.
Yeah, I never got into Digimon.
Digimon had the better show. I mean, looking back now, it's still...
I don't know. I watched... because you had told me that, and I went back and watched some of it, and...
How is Beast Wars? Legitimately.
Awesome.
Right. No. Those shows were all crap.
Okay. In
No,
Japan,
Beast
it was
Wars
the
is
game.
awesome. I can vouch for that.
Yeah, in
the
Japan,
video
the
game.
game came out first, and then the cartoon came out in America first.
Right now, all I can find is they were released at the same time. Both say 1996. Like, the first Pokemon video game came out in February 27, 1996, but I don't have an exact date for the trading card game other than 1996. Though, you're right, Zam. Looks like the video games came first, but only by,
Do not
like,
question the unknowing.
6 months or so.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, they were all released to create hype and make sales, you know, because that's how it was and is.
How did we get here?
Though I don't know about you guys, but I was definitely introduced to the card game first.
We're talking about Pokemon
Yeah,
again.
me too.
Yep.
Okay, what about Harry Potter?
Ew.
Harry Potter?
There's so much.
So many inconsistencies.
I have some severe issues with the Harry Potter universe. I used to love it, but then after I read the whole series, I went back and read the first book. Do you guys know the Hogwarts theme? I lied. I'm going to break into song again.
Hit it, Zam.
If I remember correctly, let's see how it starts. It starts, it goes, Hogwarts, Hogwarts, Hoggy-Warty, Hogwarts, teach us something, please. Whether we be old and bold or young with scabby knees, our heads could do with filling with some interesting stuff, for now they're bare and full of air, dead flies and bits of fluff. So teach us things worth knowing, bring back what we forgot. We'll do our best. No, you do your best, we'll do the rest, and learn until our brains all rot, or something like that.
I skipped the song.
I remember that.
Skip songs.
I don't know why I know it by heart.
It did seem strange in retrospect.
I haven't read that book in years. I know weird crap.
Apparently.
Like, I know details about Pokemon that I looked up once years ago. Anyway.
Do you know how, like, the last book was supposed to be in the year that the first book came out?
What?
Okay, so,
Oh,
like, the first
okay.
book came out in 1990-something, and the events of the last book were supposed to happen in 1990-something.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
And it's never specifically laid out, except in that one book where they go to Nearly Headless Nick's birthday party. If you do the math when he says it's my 500th death day, and then you see the day he died, that's how you
You
figure
can also
it
do
out.
that with Harry's parents' gravestone.
I'd also like to say, though, as I was going to mention, so that is the school's theme song, because they have one of those. That is the mood of the first book.
Yeah.
Come the final book, it's death, destruction, horror, craziness.
That can also be seen as the story growing up with its audience.
But I really feel like, and I kind of have, and I have no proof to back this up, but I feel like she copied Discworld. Dumbledore is a lot like the patrician in Discworld.
I think you're stretching it.
I feel that they are similar.
I've been rereading a bunch of Discworld lately.
Yeah.
The patrician is not very Dumbledore-y. Dumbledore is too nice, for one thing.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. My issue with it is as you read through it, at least to me, it just seems so incredibly obvious that she's making it up. She's going along.
definitely. It has the Lost syndrome.
Lost.
Not as bad as some things I've seen.
Like Lost.
Like,
Lost was actually talking about
Mass
the writers.
Effect, for instance.
No, just no more Mass Effect.
We have a Lost episode where we talk all about it. Maybe during a week where we don't actually have an episode for you guys, we'll release that conversation. Or maybe we'll do like a special thing where you can give us money and we'll give you all some of our Lost episodes. Who knows?
I hate to stretch this out any further, but I changed my mind for the final time about where I would want to live.
Where is it?
In the Animorphs world after the final book.
Oh, that would be a good one. I remember Animorphs.
Yeah.
Everyone from the
Now
90s
that
is
was
smiling.
a series that grew up with the audience.
Yeah. You know, I remember being a kid and reading those books and being like, oh, these are fun kids' books. And then going, like, there's this scene where I distinctly remember where, was it Marco? The guy who transformed into the gorilla.
I think that's
Yeah, it's Marco.
And they're describing how his stomach was split open and he was holding his intestines in his hands. And I'm like, oh, these aren't kids' books.
They were very gory, but
They were
man, did that
ridiculous.
series grow
Yep.
up. The first book,
remember
if you
Animorphs
read
very
it,
fondly.
is just kind of silly and sort of childish. And in the last book, it's like people sending their relatives to their deaths and being tortured by acts of war they committed and genocide, and it got heavy, man.
That's a really interesting way of pronouncing that word. Genocide.
That sounds like a Zoids. That sounds like a Zoid.
Well, there was a Genosaurer,
There we go.
which now makes sense.
It's like a Zoid.
Dude, I loved Zoids growing up.
Zoids
The
was
worst thing
awesome.
to say with genocide.
Um,
Someone says it's genocide. You say, sounds like a Zoid.
Genocide.
Death by Jen.
Not even a transformer. It's a Zoid.
Well, they had, like Neefu said, there's the Genosaurer, which is just a giant T-Rex.
That shoots like hyper beam out of its mouth.
Hold on to your butts.
Well, on that wonderfully nostalgic moment, I think it is about time to call this episode to its natural and I don't know. It's over. It's time to end and tell you all the things that
You may now let go of your butts.
you can find our back episodes and all future episodes on either www.cooldowntimer.com or on iTunes and Stitcher. As well, you can follow us on Facebook and YouTube at Cooldown Timer Podcast, as well as on Twitter at Cooldown Timer. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Straight Up Neefu, and then you can also follow me on YouTube at Neefu. Zam here has still yet to set up his Facebook account so that Zingle's Art